business. Why are we gonna put Ward in there with something dangerous when we have the Kovalev fight in the horizon next? So I mean, maybe they could have found a little better opponent, but it's fine, man. To me, it is what it is. Ward is not a big puncher to start. If Ward was a big puncher, then I say, wow, this wasn't good. But we know Ward isn't known for that, you know. Like you say, he has deceptive power where you can't, you know, you sometimes it's like, wow, we seen him drop Barrera, which was, you know, a natural light heavyweight, and he's a big guy. And then you seen this guy, Brand, come up. But a lot of it was, you know, he had a decent whiskers too, man. He took some shots there. And like you say, he did a lot of moonwalking in this fight. He wasn't trying to win, you know. So Ward did what he had to. He got the rounds in. People's gonna say what they say about, oh, he should have. Listen, he did what he should have done, and that was win the fight. And he wanted, yes, it was a glorified sparring match, but he won it the way he was supposed to win it, how he usually wins his fights. Not that much exciting, pure dominance. And that's it. Just know he's fighting Kovalev next. So to all the Ward haters, he's fighting one of the best fighters in the world next. That's all you need to worry about. So November 19th, people get your rosary beads that don't like war because they all going to be glued to their TV praying, hoping that Kovalev beats them.
Very good, man. Very good. So this is a boxing maniac, right, man? This is your first time on the show, man. You better call back tomorrow. We got a show tomorrow, man. I love this call, man.
Yeah, no. Hey, Sean is a very good person at breaking down fights. He's
Absolutely.
done it for years. He's always an excellent call, man.
Where have you been?
I was, you know, a lot of the boxing voice I used to call up all the time. It's been a while. You know, I had a show myself with the Dominican Dream, the Boxing Roundtable. We haven't done it in a while because of my work schedule. You know, it's kind of hectic, so that's why. But yeah, I mean, you guys have a show tomorrow. I mean, at the same time.
Yes,
7 o'clock. 7 o'clock Eastern. Yeah, 7 to 9 Eastern. Yeah, so yeah, the midnight shows kill us, you know. So
yeah, absolutely.
All right, man. Well, we'll talk to you then tomorrow, man. We're gonna hold you to that.
Thanks for having me on, man.
Thanks for coming on,
man. You guys have a good night, and I look forward to calling tomorrow.
All right, man.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Talk to you, buddy. Thank you.
All right, guys. All right. Bye.
No, Eric,
call,
he's
man.
Absolutely awesome at breaking down fights. He's done it for years. I've ever since I was on the Boxing Voice, he was one of the first people I heard, and every big fight he breaks it down, and he's very good at it.
Yeah, it was a very good call, man. And I, you know, like I said, I knew he was a Ward fan and everything like that. I'm a Ward fan, and so we're, you know, the thing is coming into the fight, we, you know, I think we're both going to pick Ward, you know, Boxing Maniac and myself, but. Yeah. You know, I wanted to know his, you know, he really broke down the fight tonight. And I think we kind of at the end of the day feel the same way about the fight. I think we have Joe live here. Right. Joe.
What's happening?
How are you?
I'm okay, man. But, you know, these tune-ups are a necessary evil in the boxing. And now we finally got them out of the way for both fighters. And knock on wood, November 19th, here we come with the best fight that could be made in boxing, in my opinion. The fight, basically, Alexander Brand was in Survivor's corner, would tell him, hey, hold him, just try not to get hit, and just go the distance with this guy. That was basically the instructions. This was, like I said, a glorified sparring session without the headgear on. I thought Andre Ward looked sharp. It's hard to knock out a guy who's constantly moving backward, who's constantly grabbing you, who's constantly pulling away from you, and who doesn't really want to engage and who's really not throwing a ton of punches. With that being said, though, Andre Ward is not a hellacious puncher. He's a very sharp puncher. He's a hard puncher. I thought he looked sharp with everything he was throwing. I thought that he made himself a compact target. He didn't get hit at all in this fight. I think he did very well in this fight. And it's really hard to look at this performance from Andre Ward against Alexander Brand and then the one against with Sergey Kovalev and Isaac Chalemba to really gauge how a fight between the two of them are going to go. But I will say this. In every fight that I've seen Andre Ward fight it, and pretty much in his whole career, he's dominated. going back from the Super 6 all the way up until now. Despite the layoff, he doesn't look like he's missed a step at all, in my opinion. And, Sergey Kovalev, if you compare the resumes, you have to ask yourself, would the guys that Andre Ward beat, would Sergey Kovalev beat those same guys? And I'm talking about if you go back into the Super 6, back when he fought Kyle Froch, and he fought Mikhail Kessler and all those guys, Arthur Abraham. How would Sergey Kovalev have done it against those guys? And I know that's a long time ago, but, Andre Ward has run the gauntlet. He has proven himself. With the exception of Bernard Hopkins, there's not really a really big name on Sergey Kovalev's record, in my opinion. And that was an older Bernard Hopkins, who I thought would beat Sergey Kovalev, but he didn't. So it's going to be interesting to see how this fight shapes up between the two of them. I'm picking Ward. I think that Ward really has a lot of different looks that he can show his opponent. I think he brings a lot to the table against Sergey Kovalev, and he can really confuse Sergey Kovalev, I think. And we've seen Sergey Kovalev baffled and confused in a lot of fights, but his power has always bailed him out. If his power is not able to bail him out against Ward, if he's not able to land something flush against Ward, I don't think he can turn the fight around. I think there's a couple bad habits that Sergey Kovalev does. I think he squares up a lot. I think when he throws his right hand, he tends to bring his rear foot forward with him, and then he squares himself up. So I think there is some liabilities there, and I think Andre Ward will pick up on a lot of that stuff. So, I'm excited about the fight.
On the chat here on YouTube, which is live, by the way, now, so we've got it working now. Real Talk has said that, and he's got a valid point here, Ward hasn't been fighting strong guys lately. And honestly, man, I would agree with that. And I don't think that, Alexander Brand is definitely not going to change your opinion of things, for sure, on this fight. But, I mean, his overall body of work has been better. But, to his point, he's right. He's been fighting some tune-ups since he's been back. And then you're looking at, who was it? Sullivan Barrera, Alexander Brandon. Who was the guy he fought coming back? Who was that fight?
Paul Smith.
Paul Smith, yeah.
Right, Paul Smith. So not exactly a murderer's row right there. But, at the same time, I mean, Kovalev hasn't been fighting that much, not a murderer's row either. I mean, you're looking at John Pascal twice. You're looking at Isaac Chilemba. Or Alex Chilemba, is it, or Isaac or Alex?
No, it's Isaac. It's Isaac. It's Isaac.
You know what? I got to blame Ringside Robert for that, because he's always getting me confused, because he's always saying Alex Chilemba, and But I'll tell you what. Hang on. Let me finish this. But to my point though, is that the guys there, man, like you said, neither one of them have been fighting stellar competition. So Real Talk has a point, but at the same time, again, Kovalev hasn't been fighting, stellar competition. And who's better? I mean, I don't think that Pascal could have beaten Ward, or I don't think that fight would have been competitive either. So it's kind of tough to say.
Yeah. And I think one problem that Kovalev's going to have is Andre Ward's foot speed, and I think his speed overall, and just his ability to make himself a compact target. Andre Ward's a very smart fighter. He knows he's not going to go punch for punch with Kovalev. He's going to stick and move against Kovalev. And I think Kovalev is most effective when he has a little bit of space. I think he's more of a mid-range guy himself. And I think, Andre Ward can do some of those tactics that he employed in the Super 6 when he really fought inside very well and grabbed guys like Alan Green and, out to Abraham, and he muscled them on the inside, and he kind of smothered them a little bit and didn't let them have the space to really unleash their power shots and really turn their power shots over. So I think there's just a lot of different elements that Andre Ward can bring to this fight. And Sergey Kovalev, I don't think, is as versatile. He does a couple things well, but he doesn't do as many things well as Andre Ward. But with that being said, the couple things that he does do well is enough against most fighters. I myself just don't think it's going to be enough against Andre Ward.
Frank Serrato says in the chat that Brand was hitting Ward at times, though. The times that I noticed that he connected his best shot, and it looked like a straight right hand that hit Ward in the face, was when Ward was southpaw. That was, to me, that was the biggest punches he landed were when Ward went southpaw. And I got to be honest, man, when Ward went southpaw, he didn't look right. It didn't look like he looked comfortable in that stance at all. He was much better when he went back to fighting conventional and that kind of thing. But yeah, he didn't look that good at all in southpaw, to be honest with you. He wanted to put that straight left down the pike, and that's why he turned southpaw. But he did not look good, and he got countered a few times. One of the other questions in there is, what do we think of the commentary? I thought that, and I'll pose this question to everybody here in a minute, but I thought that commentary was okay. I think it was. I think you got to see that they thought Kovalev was a more action fighter. If HBO has its druthers, they want Kovalev to win this fight. He would be their house fighter, so to speak. Where Andre Ward would probably give you maybe more longevity. I don't know, but I think they are pulling for Kovalev here. That's what it seemed like to me. Beeb, Robbie, what did you think?
Keep one thing in mind, guys. Peter Nelson, the new head of HBO's boxing, is an action fight person, and he wants action fighters on his network. So I could see HBO to promote this pay-per-view, building up Kovalev, and trying to make Kovalev the favorite. Although the more I see of Ward and the more I see of Kovalev going into this fight, I just don't see how Kovalev is going to win this fight. In my opinion, had completely flip-flopped, because a couple of months ago I thought it was going to be the other way around. But I still have that memory of Kovalev and Chilemba fighting in July, and Sergey didn't look really good. So, and Andre Ward presents a whole lot more problems than Isaac Chilemba. So, I don't know. If HBO is going to be banking on Kovalev winning, they might be badly mistaken.
I was going to say, on a side note, just to kind of extrapolate a little bit more on your point, Eric, it was so ironic to hear Bernard Hopkins say during the broadcast that Andre Ward needs to step on the gas pedal, because when has Bernard Hopkins really stepped on the gas pedal in his fights? And I kind of liked how Lampley and Max Kellerman put him in check when he said that, because they kind of flipped the script on him and said the same thing that I just said. Bernard, when have you ever done that? And he's like, well, I haven't, but this is a different situation. Why is it a different situation? Oh, because I'm on the outside looking in, and I can see. Yeah, okay, I got you there, buddy. I got a kick out of that.
That was funny. I mean, of all the people to complain about a fight going the distance, it was Bernard Hopkins. Really? That'd be like Floyd Mayweather saying he's not going for the kill. I mean, it was just, it made me laugh, man. Let's go to the phones real quick. 951, you're on the air. 951. Going once, going twice. Out. All right, maybe he's just listening.
That could be.
So, Robert, did you see anything tonight that would change your mind about Kovalev and Ward?
No, as I just said, Eric, a couple of months ago, I was going to favor Kovalev in this fight. But after what I saw with Kovalev and Chilemba last month, I have to favor Andre Ward, because if Kovalev is the crusher, as everybody calls him, he should have found a way to win the fight more impressively than what he did. And normally HBO people don't make very good points, but they made a very good point tonight. And I don't know if any of you caught it, but Andre Ward has fought at home several times. But Sergey Kovalev always fights away from home, and he acted like there was too much pressure on him in July fighting in Russia, because he had too many demands on his time. And that's one of the they indicated that was one of the problems with that fight. So maybe it's not a good idea for Sergey to fight at home, but it doesn't bother Andre at all. I think Andre, looking at it realistically, seeing 24 rounds of Andre and 12 rounds of Kovalev recently, it looks like Andre Ward is more prepared than Kovalev is. And I thought I would never say that.
We have a statement in the chat here from Real Talk. He says, don't be fooled by thinking Kovalev has to box or, he has to get the KO. He can box also. Do you think that's the case? Do you think Kovalev can box his way without hurting Ward?
If it becomes a pure boxing match, Eric, Andre Ward would win a unanimous decision. Kovalev knows how to box, but he can't box like Andre Ward.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree. That's that's a very tough. That's a tough road, and he, in order for him to beat him, it would almost have to be like in a boxing, it would almost have to be, to me anyway, the way Vernon Forrest and Shane Mosley #1 went down, where you didn't think Vernon Forrest had a chance. Clearly he did, and clearly he showed that he was probably the better boxer there. But he hurt Mosley in that first or second, I think it was the second round, where he really rocked him and then just took control for the entire fight. Let's go to the phones real quick.
Go ahead.
734, you are live.
All right, cool. I like these shows you guys are doing.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you very much. What's your name, buddy?
Bobby Price.
Bobby. Very nice,
okay,
man.
Bobby.
Nice to have you on the show. What did you think of the fight tonight?
I don't know. I mean, I actually kind of thought Ward was going to get him out of there. I don't discredit him for not being able to do it, but I feel like everybody's kind of making a big deal out of it. I have a boxing page on Facebook. There's a whole bunch of people talking on there saying that they don't think he can beat Kovalev now because he didn't knock this guy out. And I'm like, they fight differently,
Plug your boxing page real quick.
Yeah,
You said it's on
he
Facebook.
was just trying to survive.
Yeah. What's your boxing page on Facebook? Do you have like a group or anything? Or
Boxing Fans of the World. Yeah, it's a group.
All right,
Boxing Fans of the World. I think Beeb's in there already.
All right, I'm going to try to go join that then. Boxing Fans of the World, definitely. So if you're on Facebook, you're a boxing.
Yeah, I think I am.
Boxing Fans of the World, absolutely, man. Very good stuff.
Oh yeah.
So who would you favor in November?
I favor Ward.
Yeah.
Just because of the guys he's dealt with over the years, I feel like he's had that style in front of him before, even though they were smaller guys. I think Kovalev is just a little too straight up and down, I've seen, like, he literally stands straight up and down sometimes, and Ward is kind of fights out of that crouch and he can jab to the head and the body. Kovalev can't do, but I don't know. I just see Ward getting off first and taking him 12.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. And that seems to be the general consensus with everybody. And they saw, we've seen both people fight now. Both fighters fight their tune-ups and everything like that. And, even though it looked, I don't know who you could say was more impressive. I think that Kovalev had the more impressive opponent. I thought Chilemba would have definitely, if you take the two opponents to Chilemba and Brand, I think Chilemba definitely wipes Brand out. So,
yeah.
But even though Kovalev had the more exciting opponent, I guess you could say, the better opponent, I think everybody still favors Ward, until proven otherwise. It's tough, man. It's tough to go against a boxer like that.
The big thing is too. Yeah, it is. The big thing is too is that I feel like if Kovalev won that fight, he'd do it by knockout, but he didn't get rid of Hopkins, who was like 49 years old, and he didn't stop his last opponent, Brand, who was slippery. So the two guys that I've seen him in there with that were slippery, he didn't close the show. Granted, they didn't win more than a round or two, but still,
Do you think?
I just see Ward getting off first. And what were you saying?
No, I was going to ask you. Do you think that Andre Ward should have picked a better opponent tonight?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. But then again, I was kind of happy he was in there with somebody a little lower because he didn't get cut or anything like that, and the fight didn't get postponed.
Yeah, there may have been a method to the madness.
That's what I worry about with these. What?
Yeah, there may have been a method to that madness, where he picks somebody like that because he knows there's not really a, no real worry of being cut or anything like that. There was that anxious moment when he got a headbutt, but that turned out okay. It looks
although with Brand being so awkward, I thought there were going to be several times where there were going to be, headbutts and somebody would have got a cut. So, it was kind of a risky proposition, knowing how Alexander Brand fights. So, That's why I said earlier it might have been a good idea to pick a different opponent. But hey, they did what they thought was best.
At least not with the. At least they didn't have to worry about getting cut by a punch, because man, that guy was slapping. You see that shit? He was just slapping. He wasn't turning his punches over. My brother trains out of it's kind of like we're right next to Detroit where I live, you know, and it's this little gym where a bunch of fighters from Detroit come and train, and it's kind of that whole circle. We're in Metro Detroit, but we don't consider ourselves Detroit, you know.
Right.
But they all kind of fight like they're out of the Kronk, and the first thing they teach you is like the check left hook and turning your shots over and just, you know, making your shots count when you throw them. And I was watching this guy and I was like, man, he's putting combinations together, but you're not knocking anybody out with those shots. You're not even going to stun them.
No. Yeah, I feel like the only. Oh. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. I was saying, I feel like the only threat he had of getting a cut was from a headbutt.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, Brand was not. He was definitely not in there to win the fight, you know. And as I said at the top of the show, there was somebody in the chat that mentioned it too. He only got paid $30,000 for this fight. So, you know, I mean, yeah, right, against a top level world caliber guy. Yeah. 30.
Now we know why everyone else said no, huh?
Right?
Yes, Christ.
You know, I think you got Eubank turning out. You got like Chris Eubank turning out $4 million. This guy got paid $30,000. You know, to go.
No, but I guess a lot of fighters were offered to Ward, and I guess they were offered purses similar to the $30,000. That's why they had a hard settle for Brand. I guess that's what I guess the situation was.
Yeah. Yeah, I tell you what, it was.
Now, does
crazy.
that come from? Would that come from Jay-Z's promotional company making these offers?
Yeah.
Or,
yeah.
Shit,
well, you know what? I'm not 100%. You know what?
Right?
I'm not 100%, man. Because
what the hell, man?
Who does? I mean, would it be the promotional company or the? Well, yeah, I guess it would be the promotional company because they put on the fight, so they would offer him.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's right.
$30,000.
Maybe that explains the state of Rock Nation Promotions. It's not doing too well.
No, I don't think so. Not if they're trying to pay people that to get in there with the supposed best fighter in the world.
And you know the scary part about this, guys, is we could have seen this fight last November, because remember, Andre Ward was supposed to fight Alexander Brand on the Miguel Cotto Canelo undercard.
I forgot about that.
That would have been a nightmare.
Yeah, well, and they wanted Ward on there to have some star power on there. You know, they wanted a stacked undercard, and it doesn't matter, you know, especially with the way pay-per-views are nowadays. I mean, they'll put anybody on. If you have a name, they'll put you on there, and then, you know, it doesn't matter who he's fighting. You're seeing Andre Ward, so that you're seeing that for your money. So,
right.
Did you guys, kind of off subject here, but did you guys hear about the Crawford Postal pay-per-view numbers? How it's rumored to be at like 50,000.
Yeah, absolutely.